Hello, Hazard from Hazard Reviews here, and let's get started. So, of all the Marvel superheroes I've looked into over the years, if it's the one that seems that I've seen a lot of popularity for, well, for these ever since started following a lot, has been Miss Marvel, and to be honest, I can see why. She's a pretty cool superhero. Not just because of her powers, which are very unique, and when it comes to her doubling the size of her body and all that, and stretching her limbs, which is pretty cool. But even the personality of her and where she came from, it's just, and her ethnic background, she's a really unique character, and I can see why a lot of people love her. She's a fun character. I mean, and even the video games I've played, I've got the chance to play as her. She's probably one of my favorite characters, like in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 though. When she's in it, I really enjoy playing as her. She's great. So when I heard that she'll be getting her own TV series for the MCU for Disney Plus, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was going to segue into the upcoming Captain Marvel sequel. Perfect way to do it. So obviously I was looking forward to seeing how this show would handle, and I'm going to be honest, I thought this show was very much a mixed bag. I can understand, and it's strange that I see, when it comes to reviews, a lot of people seem to be giving it, a lot of critics love it, a lot of people love it, but, then there are some who when you look at IMDb, bombarded with negative stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're just, most of them are trollers, but, I can't see why this show is. Let's get on to the premise. Kamala Khan is a huge fan of the Avengers, in particular Captain Marvel. In fact, in her spare time when she's not in high school or trying to finally get her driver's license, she's creating animations of her favorite superheroes and post them online to minimal response. One day in 2025, the first annual Avengers Con is going to happen, and Kamala wants to go there with her friends. But her parents, being strict and very religious, refuse to have her go there, because they don't believe it's part of her personality to be, dressing up like this, So she sneaks out and takes a family bangle, which her mother warns her not to take. And when she goes to Avengers Con to dress up as Captain Marvel, the bangle triggers her and gives her superpowers, which include stretching her limbs out to incredible sizes. Kamala tries to understand more about this bangle and her family's history with it, considering that not much is known about it, considering the original owner of the bangle, disappeared her great-grandmother disappeared years ago. It just so happens that another group of Pakistanis in New Jersey happen to have been friends with happen to have known Kamala's great-grandmother, and reveal they're immortal and want the bangle for themselves to return to their home world. Kamala's not sure, so after delaying a response so long, they go after her, and so it's up to Kamala to understand the powers of her new bangle and use it to achieve her dream of becoming a superhero, while figuring out whether she wants to tell anyone or not. So let me start off by saying this. The first 3 episodes really disappointed me. In fact, I was really uninterested watching them, mostly because I can tell what this story is. In many ways it does seem, with young teenagers getting superpowers, we all know that Spider-Man made it popular, but, you want to keep your secret identity to some, but also want to reveal it to other people, that's understandable. But when it comes to this family, look, I think the family overall in Miss Marvel is a really good family. I understand them and how they're willing to accept people who Kamala meets at school to be part of their family, like her best friend Bruno. That's pretty nice. But when it comes to wanting to be like a superhero and all that. Boy, does the conversations with her mother, and in particular when they talk about her great grandmother, because Kamala's mother doesn't really views her as a traitor in the family who ran away and abandoned her mother, which is Kamala's grandmother. Those moments remind me a lot of films like Whale Rider, and in particular Bend It Like Beckham. I'm going to highlight Bend It Like Beckham in particular because I do not like that, which I'm honestly going to say I know a lot of people love, but I don't like it. So seeing these elements just go, and I know exactly what I'm dealing with, and I'm like, oh, come on, not this. It happens when I'm going through cliches with certain things, and even when it's a TV show, like, it just gets me through a lot of issues. And even when you get past that, some of the other story threads, like there's a moment where when one of the bad guys hits Miss Marvel's bracelet and she ends up time traveling. And I think this is probably one of the strangest points in the show, because how does it work, time traveling, with this bracelet? Because, I mean, yes, you do learn a bit with how the bracelet operates when it comes to Kamala's genes, but it's never explained that this could happen. And even when we do sort of get an explanation from a character she meets in the past, it just seems strange. And even the post-credits, the mid-credits scene in the final episode, that's another thing. I'm just like, wait, can this happen? I'm not going to spoil what happens, but the bracelet or bangle I should say, just has these things that I just wish could be understood a bit more to me. And there's not just that. And then there's the other problem I have, which is the main source of conflict just keeps changing around. At first, as I explained, there's these people who have ties to Kamala's family in the past who are trying to get the bangle for themselves and antagonizing Kamala to steal it from her, which, yeah, seems feasible. They look like to be the main threat. But then you also have the government, the Department of Damage Control agency from Spider-Man No Way Home, from the Spider-Man MCU movies in general, trying to capture Kamala for themselves and these other people, and they're chasing after her. And yeah, so they just keep changing these things. And then there's even a brief moment where Kamala meets these people meets this organization in Pakistan who don't know that she's, a threat or not, but of course that gets sorted out. But actually, I'm going to take that part out. But it's jumping between these two groups of damage control and the group of people who have similar powers to Kamala. And I just want them to stick with something. And when I finally think it's happening, which direction it is, then it changes to the other. Like, just pick something, in my view. And even then, I mean, the main damage control guy that we saw in No Way Home, I picture him to have a bit more of a. I knew he would want to capture Kamala because he wanted to capture Peter Parker, but he's barely in it, and even his morals. When you see him in No Way Home, you see him willing to interrogate likes of Peter, MJ, Ned, Aunt May, all those guys, because he views them because he doesn't trust anyone, and he's willing to operate outside boundaries. When he deals with Kamala and all that, he's not. Well, he's not as this. His morals just seem different, in my view, compared to what I saw in No Way Home. But with that said, but overall, it's not like it's terrible. In fact, honestly, I think the first 3 episodes aren't really my thing. The final episodes 4 to 6 are like way better. Even though I think episode 5, which is probably the weakest reviewed of all the episodes, I actually find a lot more. In particular, when Kamala heads to Pakistan to learn of her family's background with the bangle, that is where the show really gets better for me. Like, I'm loving every moment of it. I think it's great. I'm interested. I want to see what's happening next, even with a few things I just don't know what's going on, like with the time travel moment. All the performances are really good, especially Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan herself. I'm really impressed with how the MCU cast these young actors for certain heroes, like Tom Holland as Peter Parker. You've got Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. The two boys who played Wanda Maximoff's sons for WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness. Shishida Gomez, I think her name was, who plays America Chavez in Multiverse of Madness. They do a really good job, and Vellani is a really good actress, so I hope not just stays long term for this role, but also has a great career with other roles. They're really good. And also the visual effects for Miss Marvel's powers are really colourful and really unique. I've not really seen that much, not many visuals like that in the MCU at the moment. I mean, yeah, you can see some certain explosions and effects with certain things like Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy and a few others, but never to this extent. This is I really like the visual effects. They're really good. And the choices of music are handled pretty well, especially when they integrate Pakistan music and all that. They're great. And the final episode's really cool. And the AdventureCon scene in episode 1 is basically a giant reference extravaganza for MCU fans, which is cool. But with that said, I can't say this is the best show. In fact, this is the weakest in my view. I mean, and not to say this is bad. It's not. But honestly, from what I don't know if I can actually say. I'm pretty sure a lot of people love it, but for me, this is the best show. But for me, this is the weakest, just because it features stuff I'm not particularly fond of, and I have certain issues with certain things, like, as I said, who the main source of conflict is, between the two groups of people who want Kamala, and the time travel moment, and a few other things. I can see why a lot of people do like this, and I'm all for films and to show people wanting to of characters from different ethnic backgrounds who want to embrace something that's not particularly embraced by their families. I'm all for that and all that stuff, but you've got to handle it well in my view, because certain things just don't keep my interest in my view. But overall, I think Miss Marvel is a good show. It's just not my favourite. But I look forward to see where the character ends up in the future. Especially, and I really, as I said, I hope Iman Vellani has a great career in acting. She's a great young actress. So this gets a 6.5 out of 10 stars for me. This is my view, the weakest MCU Disney Plus show at this very moment. But things can change overall in the future. It just depends how I do when I look back on certain other stuff and if I rewatch them. But for now, this is the weakest one for my first viewing. That's what I'm saying. So with that said, what's next? Well, it's time for me to go back to finally do another Star Wars review. Jeez, I haven't done that since anything Star Wars since 2019. And that was when Rise of Skywalker came out. Yeah, so I'm going to review Obi-Wan Kenobi next. And, well, then after that, just wait and see what I end up getting my hands on. I think it might be some video game stuff I might do next. But in the meantime, this is Hazza from Hazza Reviews out, and I shall see you for my next video. Ciao!